Hey everyone, Reptile Sam here. So today I've got my buddy George, who is my Hypotangerine Honduran milk snake. And he is from Smoldering Serpents. They're awesome breeders, and if you're looking for a really cool Lamprepeltis, specifically a milk snake, I recommend you reach out to them. So today's video is about brumation and how to brumate your snakes. So this is our first year actually brumating colubrids. And I wanted to show George today because while he is not a breeder for me, he's a pet, I am brumating some Lamprepeltis, specifically my California Kingsnakes. And so if you've heard of brumation, you know what it is, of course, but if you haven't, brumation is the reptile version of hibernation. So in the wild, when it gets cold outside, the snakes will go dormant. So they still need access to fresh water, they'll still move around a little bit, but they can be put in a smaller tub, put away for the winter, and in a few months they come out. So I'm using a time frame of Thanksgiving, roughly, through February. So probably around Valentine's Day. So that period will let them cool, and then in the spring, they take a few meals and they'll be ready to breed. So it kind of acts like a natural stimulant for them to know what seasons of the year it is. And depending on where you live in the United States, you might be able to just brumate in a shed, on a heat mat outside. I've seen people, use outdoor sheds for that sort of thing. If it's cold enough in your snake room, you can just turn the heat off and it'll get down to, high 50s in your room if you live further north. So the thing is, you need to have your animals at a steady temperature that's cool enough to keep them in brumation. It doesn't get so warm that they will come out of brumation and be active again. At the same time, you want to make sure that it's at least 2 weeks after their last meal, if not longer, to let them digest. That way that their food doesn't rot in their stomachs because they're cold-blooded, so they need heat to digest food. So, that being said, I'm going to show you guys what I did for my brumation chamber. Did a little bit of trial and error, and I eventually went with an option that I'm pretty excited about. So, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I tried was using some frozen water bottles and a Yeti cooler block in my incubator. I thought maybe I could get the temperature down. I had it setting on a VE200 thermostat right there to monitor the temperature, and while it did get the temperatures down even into the 40s, I was having to switch out the frozen water bottles and the Yeti cooler block every day. And the temperatures were ranging from the mid 40s or so up to basically room temperature by the time I had to switch them out. So it was getting pretty tedious. However, if you have something like that, like a cooler, and you're committed to changing out your frozen objects every 2 days, it's an option, but it's going to be a lot of work. So we did this for a while, but it's just getting to the point where it was like, this is going to be really hard to keep up this routine for 3 months. But it is doable. So that's my incubator that I was just using to cool. I didn't have anything running on it, just a thermostat. And this, just for reference, in my reptile room, this is beneath the 2 leopard geckos on a rack, like a wire shelf. So that's where they were for a while, but it's a lot of work, but it's doable. However, this was the better option. So this wine cooler right here is 4.4 cubic feet. I got it on a Black Friday sale on Amazon. It's quite large. It has a locking temperature, so you can see it set to 50. And while the recommended temperature for king snakes to brumate is 55, unlock the temperature controls. So there's a nice little light in there, you can see. So this is 2 snakes in smaller tubs. That's Sally on top and Brooke on the bottom. There's room for several more snakes in here. So while 55 is the recommended temp, you should always have a heat gun on hand to be able to test out your temperatures. So even though it says 50, when I was using my heat gun to test various spots, say on the bottom, the sides, and at the back cold coils back there, I was finding that the temperature was actually closer to 55. Or when I had set to 55, it was closer to 60. So that back wall in the back, that was at 55, and now that back wall is at 50, but the rest of the temperatures in here are about 5 degrees warmer than what it was set to. So that's one other reason why it's always important to have a heat gun on hand. Your heat gun can just be a simple thing like this. This is what I have right here. It was probably like $10 or $15 at most on like Amazon, I think. And basically the way it works is you see that little laser light is on in the front, and it just reads temperatures, and you want to be about maybe, I think the recommended range is like 6 to 8 inches, 10 inches away from what you're measuring to get an accurate reading. And so room temperature on top of rack, I just kind of pointed it somewhere. You always have one of these on hand just for your reptile room in general, so you can spot check, make sure that your heat is what you want to be in your racks, in your enclosures, under your hot spots, etc. And again, I use this in my new incubator, which is a 4.4 cubic foot wine cooler. I took all the shelves out and I'm using that, but it's set to 50 degrees. But when I use the heat gun to check the temperatures, the bottom and the sides and like the middle area was all 5 degrees warmer than what it was set to. So that back cooling area is 50, but the rest of it's around 55. So for example, if you have snakes that, you know, maybe like mountain kings or other snakes that need a colder brumation, maybe put those where it is 50, but then keep your animals like corn snakes or king snakes closer to the front in the middle where it's going to be a little bit warmer. So just make sure you've got a heat gun on hand to check your temps. So Sally and Brick will be in there until February when they'll come out, and we'll feed them, get them ready for breeding season. So fingers crossed everything goes well, and we will be having king snake babies probably around summer, early fall, hopefully. So that's brumation for you. So hopefully that's been helpful for you guys, learning a little bit about brumating colubrids. It's recommended to help increase fertility rates. Your snake's ready to breed at the same time during the year. And so it's my first year trying it, and the wine cooler seems to be like the best way to go. So there are other ways to go that'll save you some money, but it'll take a lot more manpower, a lot more effort to keep it going for 3 months. So just keep that in mind if you decide to brumate. And until next time, I'm Reptile Sam. This is George, beautiful Honduran milk snake. And remember to like and subscribe to this channel. Check us out on Instagram at reptile.sam. And make sure to go check out our merch page as well on Redbubble. Thanks guys, and we'll see you later.